My name is Monica Ruiz, and I would like to take you on a short journey of a neighborhood with a unique and deeply ingrained culture and heritage that was passed down to me as a child and still lives on today through the folks who work so hard today to preserve the culture, the Soundview old-timers. My mother and her family grew up in the Soundview area, which is the south central section of the Bronx, New York. The buildings she grew up in were in primarily a residential neighborhood, which were opened in the early 1950s. Many successful and famous people were born and or raised in this area. Sonia Sotomayor, Africa Bambaataa are just a couple of the household names and icons of this culturally diverse area. During the 1950s, this area primarily consisted of white Caucasians, Jewish, Italian, Irish, to name a few, but soon after became a melting pot for the Black and Hispanic folks who moved here to provide a better lifestyle for their families. After all, the surrounding area was more desolate than it is today and had many possibilities for growth, as the land was wide open for new development. The big park in Soundview, which spans about several acres, was a significant part of this neighborhood where families could enjoy the beautiful feel of sunflowers, trees, and plenty of open space to play sports, picnic, bike ride, and admire the scenic riverside. Soundview is primarily a residential neighborhood, geographically located in the south central section of the Bronx, New York, near the Castle Hill area of the Bronx, you know, where J-Lo grew up. We all rode on the 6 train. Its boundaries start from the north and moving clockwise are the Cross Bronx Expressway to White Plains Road to East Lacombe Avenue, Bronx River, up spanning as far as Westchester Avenue. Today, Soundview is a dense urban neighborhood with a population density of about 45,000 per square mile. The neighborhood predominantly consists of Latin Americans, but includes a small yet diverse mix of races and other ethnic groups. Welcome on my journey back to Soundview, the 25th annual Soundview Old Timers Reunion, Building Bridges. I hope you experienced the family and sense of unity I did, revisiting my roots.
My name is Monica Ruiz, and here I am at Bridges Bar and Lounge in the Boogie Down Bronx, 4100 East Tremont Avenue in the Bronx. And today we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Soundview Old Timers Reunion. Soundview, an area where my family came from. That was actually my first birth home. And here I have Susie Gonzalez. She's actually on the committee that plans all year round for this event. Today is the meet and greet. Hello, Susie, how are you?
Hi, Monica, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm so glad, I'm very excited, very psyched up. Tell us what you've done here today.
Well, we actually worked almost a year to work towards this day and for tomorrow. We have a committee that gets together and we plan getting permits. We went and got the stage. We had to plan portal potties for the committee. We had to plan this meet and greet, so we looked for a place. We worked on a lot. It was a lot of meetings, a lot of planning involved, working with the politicians, which another person has close contact with. So she did a wonderful job, which is Bubbles. We met on a weekly basis, actually, and we even had conference calls to discuss how things were going to be. We met with the police department. We also attended community affairs meetings at the 43rd Precinct once a month to understand what's going on in the community.
You know, you want to make sure that it's a safe event, but you also want to make sure that it's a fun event because, as you said, that there are people coming near and far. People travel here for this event,
yes.
Correct?
Yes. That's why we really did this. We decided that we wanted it to be special, and we wanted to work with the politicians and the police department because so many people flew in, and it was such an important day for everybody.
Yeah, and I understand that there was a point where this almost didn't happen, right?
Yes.
And it took having to put a committee together that plans all year round because we're celebrating a culture, a heritage, families, celebrating families that grew up in this area.
Yes, oh, absolutely. And it was such a mixture of cultures as well. And growing up, it was the best. I mean, everyone got along, and we get together now, and there's so much love in the area. So we wanted the police department and the politicians and the community to see that that still exists.
I have another guest here. Her name is Doris Camus Feliciano. And she just so happens to be my mother.
Hello.
So Doris, what brings you here besides that? You're visiting me, you're here for the reunion, but what are you excited about today?
I'm excited to meet so many people, hopefully, that I haven't seen in ages. I had the greatest childhood in Soundview, memories that are immeasurably wonderful. There's no comparison to the memories that I have of my childhood. The projects where I was raised, and you also, partially, were so friendly. Like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. We had a village. Everyone participated and watched out for each other. So I am so excited. I'm super excited to meet and to run into, or actually see so many of my friends from back in the day, because now I live in Florida.
Unfortunately, and this is actually her first time here, and every year from what I hear, there's always someone new that comes and the word spreads, and from what I hear, she's going to be back next year.
Oh, definitely. Every year I try to make it, and something, life happens. But this time I am quite lucky that I was able to make it. And I'm also very proud of my daughter and her accomplishment with her new company that this is one of her first documentaries. And it's a really great feature that she's going to be doing here, having to do with the reunion, the people that come together every year. And we look forward to continuing this.
And one thing I have to say, growing up in the Bronx that I miss so much, I used to be able to take advantage of the after school programs. I was able to take dance class, cooking and baking, and that's what kind of triggered my interest in the performing and culinary arts, not to mention that my mom is an excellent cook. She should have been a chef. So, I'm just so happy to be here to share part of my roots with all of you, and we're going to have so much more in store for you. Here I have Paulette Burton.
Right.
How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Is this your first time?
This is my very first time coming to a reunion after all of these years.
Paulette, how far back do you go in Soundview? When did you move to Soundview?
I moved to Soundview when I was 8 years old, and I went to elementary school there. I went to junior high and high school in that area.
Where exactly did you live about in Soundview?
I lived in 1682 Seward Avenue, right across the street from PS 107, and across the street from we call them the Quonset huts, or private houses.
Those private houses that used to be army barracks, I believe, back in the day, and then they converted them to private homes.
So it's nice to see some faces. Hopefully I'll remember some of the faces that I see, because it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I look forward to today.
Yeah, we have like a generation that today is in their 50s and 60s, so there's a few generations here, never mind that I'm the generation below them, because, my mom, actually, I believe my mother moved into the area in 1954. What time did you move into the area?
About 54, 55. And I started studying martial arts with Lisa's father.
Oh, wow. And 1954, I would say it was when they first opened, right? Because those projects over there were new. They were surrounded by like a residential area. So a lot of the area was underdeveloped, right?
They weren't even finished yet. There were some areas that they still had to put up fencing. They had holes to fill. So we were some of the first people to move in there.
So how would you describe your childhood growing up in Soundview?
Well, as opposed to growing up today, I mean, we went outside, we played, kids' games, activities. It's not like today in the computer age where they're in the living room on the computer. It's a lot different. But you know what? It was
very involved.
Yes.
I mean, those were the days when people would like sit out on the stoop and you could go ask for milk and sugar from your neighbor.
Absolutely, absolutely. And kids played outside. I mean, we played games like red light, green light, 1, 2, 3, ring alivio. They don't do that anymore.
Double dutch.
Yes, yes, double dutch.
Actually, yeah, somebody had put it on my Facebook, Skelsies, because I would play all those games. You know, so I miss those days. Even the days when we used to open the pump up to get wet outside and jelly sandals.
But those were the days when you had a lot of activities outside, and nowadays it's not the same thing.
Here I have Marinette Flores, and she's also here for this big day. Is this your first time?
Yes, it is. My family I grew up in Soundview. My parents lived in 1704. My father was in the Korean War. My mother was waiting for him. She was pregnant waiting for him, and we were there for like 15 years. And then I moved out, and I'm in Long Island now. But I come, for the Soundview reunion.
Wow. So what year did you move to Soundview?
I think we moved, I don't know, in the 60s. I think like 63 or something.
Did you come from a big family?
Yes, a family of 7 kids. We had 7. I have 6 older siblings, so it was perfect. It was a community. We knew all your neighbors. It was like the country. It was beautiful. It was like the school was there. Everyone was friendly. Everyone knew everyone. It was wonderful, and that's why people still come back, which is nice.
So what do you miss about it so much?
I think it's the village that raises a family. Raises the few. I want to say that the community life. That's what I miss.
I understand that because, I live in the suburbs in Jersey now, and I totally miss that community spirit, those after-school activities, that involvement with the kids, with the families, So I can definitely relate to that.
We had the park down there, Soundview Park, where everyone hung out. We had, barbecues, and you played sports. It was wonderful. It was just wonderful.
Yeah, I hear that park was sort of like your rite of passage when you could enter that park. You had to be like a certain age.
Yes. And the funny thing is that even the older people, the bullies, you knew all the bullies, you knew everyone. Everyone knew everyone, you know what I mean? You were still protected, It was wonderful. It was just wonderful.
And the makeup, the demographics of that area was very diverse, right? So explain, what kind of people would I find in Soundview in the 50s and 60s?
I think we had everything, because I really didn't know about color until I grew up, We had white, we had Italians, we had Spanish, we had Latin, we had Afro-Americans. We had everything. It was just wonderful. Everyone knew everyone. Everyone, it was a great community to live in.
And that's what I would like to encourage more. I mean, if there's anything that we're left with today, it's just leaving with that sense of family and friends, the community, looking out for each other, sharing stories, and looking forward to that next reunion, and hopefully passing the baton to the next generation, showing how important it is for communities to stick together.